Thanks, but no thanks. Sure enough, we have heard this polite way of declining proposals many times, or something similar to this. When someone says this, they are essentially indicating that they are not interested or don't wish to proceed with whatever is being proposed to them. Deciphering this objection in our recruitment industry is a skill we need to learn, understand, and implement at work. Welcome to our e-learning topic of today, where we will talk about influencing outcomes and obliterating objections, understanding objections in recruitment. Let us first understand the objectives. Objectives 1. Manage your initial response to an objection. 2. View objections as an opportunity. And 3. Emphasize the significance of empathizing with the client's perspective. How should be our response to objections? Let's deep dive. Initial response to objections. In our recruitment efforts, our commitment is long-term, requiring proactive engagement with clients. This entails initiating conversations with clients to gain insights into various aspects of their operations, such as 1. The prevailing market dynamics, 2. Their responses to challenges, 3. The trajectory of their business, 4. And the potential impact on their workforce and hiring requirements. Despite our anticipation of common objections, the unpredictability of each client interaction leaves us uncertain about the exact nature of their response. Upon encountering an objection, we instinctively react, as we think we can preempt their responses. But the reality is that whilst there are some common objectives, we cannot be sure of what the client will actually respond as. An objection typically triggers a reaction, often falling into one of two patterns: flight or fight. The flight response leads us to agree with objection, causing us to miss out on chances and make little progress. Conversely, the fight response prompts us to challenge the objection head-on, typically by asserting our value proposition. For instance, if faced with rudeness, we may feel inclined to categorize the individual as someone unworthy of further engagement, thus closing the door to future interactions. However, both of these reactive approaches ultimately hinder our success in building meaningful client relationships. The concept of fight or flight, explained first by Walter Bradford Cannon, underscores our physiological response to stress, whether real or perceived. This response triggers hormonal release, activates our nervous system, primes our body for action. Knowledge about your fight and flight reactions will help in dealing with the situation better. And with time, seasoned professionals may develop a tolerance for objections in managing the associated stress. We advise to apply the techniques that can help mitigate the physical manifestations of stress, ensuring a more composed approach. Embracing this mindset fosters resilience, reduces stress, preserves our physical, emotional, and mental well-being. Therefore, honing the ability to handle objections effectively becomes not only a professional skill, but also a critical component of personal self-care within the recruitment industry. Thirdly, we should understand common recruitment objections. Encountering consistent objections can be viewed as a normal aspect in our line of work. It means we have the opportunity to anticipate and prepare for them effectively. With this in mind, there's no justification for not being ready to address the common objections that routinely arise. Some of them are tackling objections. 3 key considerations. 1. Handling objections with empathy. When you encounter an objection, it could either be a genuine concern or just a common tactic used to end calls quickly. Regardless, what's crucial is to move past the objection and engage in a meaningful conversation where both parties share factual information. 2. Empathetic perspective. Put yourself in their shoes. Consider how the client might be feeling. Instead of offering a standard response, try to empathize with their perspective. Building trust is key to forming a successful relationship. Once you understand their viewpoint, you can offer tailored solutions to address their specific challenges. 3. Turning objections into opportunities. Surprisingly, objections can be seen as opportunities. Many people struggle to overcome objections, so embracing them can set you apart from the competition. While others may give up easily, Welcome objections as chances to showcase your expertise and block competitors from making progress. Scenario: you're a recruiter at XYZ Talent Solutions, calling Miss Johnson, who's hesitant about using outside agencies for hiring. She's a HR head at a big company. Your aim is to handle her concern with care, understand her side, and turn it into a good talk. Her concern: we don't usually use agencies, as I have burnt my fingers in the past. Which option will you choose as your empathetic response? Option 1: well, we've helped many companies like yours. Maybe you should think about it. Not the best choice. Option 2: I get where you're coming from, Miss Johnson. It seems like you've had experiences with agencies. Can you tell me more about what happened? The right choice. Your perspective: understanding her side. Option 1: ignore Miss Johnson's worry and just continue with your pitch. Not the right move. Option 2: I understand your point, Miss Johnson. It's important for us to hear your concerns. Can you tell me about the problems you faced when working with recruitment agencies in the past? The better option. Turning objections into opportunities. Option 1: forget about what happened before. We've got great candidates. Not the best choice. Option 2: I completely understand why you're cautious. We aim to stand out. How about I tell you about a success story where we made a big difference for a company like yours? The better choice. Thank you for your attention in Lesson 1. Now we move towards learning the techniques of overcoming obstacles. Techniques for overcoming obstacles. Objectives. 1. Using the Batari box model. Outline how our attitude affects our behavior. 2. Explain how it is helpful to categorize our objection. 3. Describe the techniques to move a conversation forward, beyond an objection. How does our attitude affect our behaviors? There's no doubt that luck plays a significant role, and it's great when it's on your side. However, it can be tough when you've done everything to control a positive outcome, and an unexpected event obliterates your potential success. You can't factor luck into your sales plan, and you can't include it in your forecasts. You can only count on doing your job to the best of your ability. As Samuel Godwin, the film producer, once said, "The harder I work, the luckier I get." Likewise, the Roman philosopher Seneca the Younger observed, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity." By adhering to a structured recruitment sales plan, consistently seeking out new clients, effectively presenting your services, you increase your chances of making a sale. The more opportunities you create to understand client needs, the greater the likelihood of receiving a positive response. To adopt the right sales mindset, it's essential to set aside the concept of luck. Blaming misfortune or bad luck can diminish the motivation to bounce back from setbacks and explore new strategies. Instead, focus on stable and measurable factors within your control is both healthier and more motivating. Many factors can pose challenges for you, like taking control means the comprehensive behavior you need to demonstrate. The knowledge you need to build. The skills you need to develop to succeed in recruitment sales. Doing these things and developing these skills creates a more positive outlook, gives you improved self-esteem, and increases confidence. Using Batari box model. The connection between a recruiter's attitude and behavior directly impacts their influence on clients. The Batari box model illustrates how our attitude, whether positive or negative, manifests in our behavior across all human interactions. Human communication encompasses both conscious and subconscious exchanges of signals leading to decisions, whether deliberate or involuntary, regarding which signals it reciprocates. In this ongoing process, the reactions we receive stem from the messages we convey through verbal language, gestures, and expressions. For instance, if someone displays aggression towards us, it typically fosters a negative attitude towards them, and they may sense this negativity, initiating a cycle of confrontation. To alter the behavior of a potential client, a recruiter must understand their own attitude and its impact on their behavior. Only then can they evaluate how their behavior influences the potential client. By grasping this model, recruiters can interrupt an unconscious pattern by reflecting on how the client's behavior affects their own emotions and applying appropriate self regulation to prevent it from influencing their attitude. Conflicts often arise due to ineffective communication or simple misinterpretation, and this model proves valuable in diffusing challenging situations. The key is to identify the stages on the Batari box model, diffuse the interaction, and foster a positive exchange with the potential client. Some valuable tips. Even though your attitude impacts others, hope you have been enjoying the learning session so far. We have now come to the final lesson of the training module. Let's continue. Obliterating objections. From this lesson, we should be able to recognize objections effectively and learn objection handling tactics. Categorize objections. It is best to address objections directly to instill confidence in the client and advance the relationship. But how? What you should consider. Do not view it as criticism. Provide immediate responses requiring acknowledgement. Exploration through further questioning. Prepare for anticipated objections. Practice potential responses in advance to effectively manage objections. You may hear from the clients, most objections can be categorized into one of the following groups seen here. It's critical and important how we handle these objections. The 3 different ways to handle objections. 1. Let's look at how to handle each of the objections using the Positive Behavior Toolbox. The Positive Behavior Toolbox uses acknowledge the objection, empathy to express understanding, probe to get the underlying objection, hypothetical questions and address their concerns to gain commitment and move the discussion forward, an effective close, with a plan to gain agreement on how to move forward. Number 2. Another simple but effective approach to handling objections is the feel, felt, found method, a technique of 3 parts. Feel. Say you understand why they feel that way. Felt. Acknowledge that other people felt the same way. Found. Explain what others with the same objection eventually found. Scenario. Mr. HR from XYZ company says, I can't afford to use recruitment consultancies because your charges are so high. Our approach using the feel, felt, and found method. I can see where you're coming from. I've had another client who felt the same way. However, once they discovered their standard service elements included, they realized we were likely offering the best deal available in the market. And finally, number 3, the onion approach, also referred to as peeling the onion. It operates on the premise that there may be an underlying objection not initially disclosed. Essentially, you systematically peel away layers of objections by persistently probing with questions like, before delving into specific objections in the upcoming module, let's summarize the key insights gained from this section. Key learning takeaways. Address our initial response to objections, which tends to be fight or flight with a focus on empathy. Approach objections with understanding, empathetic perspectives, and the ability to turn them into opportunities. Overcome common challenges encountered in recruitment sales, including inadequate research, disorganization, fear of rejection, and challenging market conditions. Enhance skills in goal setting, planning, conducting market research, and communicating effectively to assert control and foster positive attitude in sales interactions. Reframe objections as immediate reactions rather than criticisms, and develop the ability to acknowledge objections empathetically. Learn to ask insightful questions and devise strategies for advancing the conversation positively. Explore 3 effective approaches to handling objections. The Positive Behavior Toolbox, which involves employing empathy, probing hypothetical questions, and future planning. The feel felt found method, which centers on understanding and acknowledging the shared sentiments, presenting positive outcomes, and the onion approach, which entails systematically uncovering underlying objections by peeling away layers. Hope you had an insightful session. See you again in the next module shortly.